So good afternoon, students. Fine. So shall we start? Okay. So the next process we are going to discuss about respiration. Okay. How can you define respiration? Okay. You inspire oxygen and where it goes in between what occurs? Oxygen you inspire, where it goes? Lungs. From lungs, blood. From blood, heart. From heart, again blood pumped to all tissues, all organs, and then from tissues, all cells. Can you understand? So oxygen goes there, and cells gets that oxygen, and what it is doing with that oxygen? What will happen if oxygen enters into the cell? Why we need oxygen? We breathe in oxygen. Oh, yeah, for breathing, we take in oxygen. In a cell, final destination of the oxygen is cell. Every cell should receive oxygen. What will happen to the oxygen there? It is having some role in the oxygen. What it does inside the cell, what this oxygen is going to do? Say you need last chapter we saw, means last topic was nutrition, right? You need energy. For energy, ATP, fine. Energy currency. What source? To give energy, what you had, what entered into the cell? Food. You had food. It is digested and converted into sugars, glucose, amino acids, all these things. So energy, glucose. Glucose also entered into the cell. Oxygen also entering into the cell. Now, what should occur? This glucose must be broken down. So glycolysis. What is glycolysis? Breakdown of glucose. So glucose should be broken down. And in that process, what is produced? ATP is produced. Okay? And ATP is used as energy currency. Adenosine triphosphate used as energy currency. So we had food converted into glucose, glucose entered into the cell. To break down glucose, what you need? Oxygen. Okay, so oxygen is for what? To breaking down glucose, to produce ATP. Also, what else is produced? ATP is produced. Cells uses this ATP for all metabolic processes. And finally, what is produced? Carbon dioxide is produced in this cell. So this carbon dioxide should come to the blood and then to the heart and then to the lungs and then to the environment. Can you understand? So the whole process is called what? Respiration. Okay, of course, why we need glucose? To means why we need oxygen? To break down glucose. what happens? Energy currency is produced. Then only all life processes requires the energy. All cell to perform its function, it requires energy. Okay. Now, without food, can you live? Can you live without food? How many days? How many hours you can live without food? You are in starvation. You are in fasting. How many hours? How many days? 3 to 4 days. Some science and all. 40 days. Like that. Yes, please, DC. So we are just now starting a chapter called we already started physiology, means life processes, nutrition alone over, and today we are starting with respiration. Okay, so some basic things only we are discussing. Settle fast. So what did I ask? So without food, you can live for many days. Even without water, you can live for few days, 1 week. At least 1 week you can live without water. Okay, but without respiration, without oxygen, how many days you can live? Hmm? Hmm? 1 minute. Okay, without oxygen, 1 minute. Maximum 3 minutes. Okay, we are aerobic organism. We require oxygen. Okay, our cells can live only to few minutes, not more than 3 minutes without oxygen. So continuously, oxygen should be supplied to the cell to carry out its metabolic processes. Okay, cell requires every cell. It may be unicellular organism or multicellular organism. Okay, it may be unicellular or multicellular. It may be aquatic or terrestrial, or it may be an amphibian. Okay, most of the organism requires oxygen for its survival. Can any organism exist in the world without supply of oxygen? You think so? Yes, something are called what? Anaerobe. 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 They are what? Absence of aerobe. A-E-R-O-B. Aerobe. Anaerobe. What are aerobe? They can live in the presence of oxygen. Anaerobe means they live in the absence of oxygen. Anaerobe live in the presence of oxygen. Means aerobe live in the presence of oxygen. Anaerobe lives in the absence of oxygen. Mostly unicellular bacteria are there, no bacteria, unicellular organisms, microorganisms. They live in anaerobe. They live as in an anaerobe. For example, yeast, Saccharomyces cerevisiae, yeast. It lives in the absence of oxygen. It's an anaerobe. Okay. So if the respiration, cellular respiration occurs, in respiration, what occurs? Breakdown of glucose. If the breakdown of glucose occurs in the presence of oxygen, that is called what? Aerobic respiration. If the breakdown of glucose occurs in the absence of oxygen, that is called what? Anaerobic respiration. What is respiration? Glucose is taken, glucose is broken down in the presence of oxygen, ATP is produced, end product CO2 is also produced, sent out. Okay, glucose enters the cell, oxygen also enters the cell, oxygen breaks glucose, produces ATP, energy currency. ATP is, that's what used as energy currency. Cell uses the ATP for all its cellular processes. Carbon dioxide is produced, that is sent out from the cell as well as from the organism. So this is called what? Aerobic respiration. Okay, what is anaerobic respiration? Glucose is broken down in the absence of oxygen. That is anaerobic respiration. Okay, now can I ask you one question? In our body, we live only in the presence of oxygen, right? In our body, aerobic respiration occurs or anaerobic respiration occurs. Sure, all of you? Aerobic respiration occurs. No anaerobic respiration? Yes or no? I'm happy if you say no, because I want to prove you're wrong. Okay, say yes or no. Aerobic respiration or anaerobic respiration? In our body, aerobic respiration. Where aerobic respiration occurs? In the cell, fine. Inside the cell, where? Inside the cell. Cytoplasm. Inside the cell, cytoplasm. Aerobic respiration occurs. Okay, fine. So listen one thing. In aerobic respiration, in the cytoplasm, glucose, 6-carbon molecule glucose is broken down into 2,3-carbon pyruvic acid or pyruvate. Okay, in the cytoplasm, plus little energy is produced. Look into the next chart to understand about aerobic and anaerobic respiration. Can you see the 6-carbon glucose molecule in the cytoplasm of a cell? You know what is cytoplasm? The membrane. Inside the membrane, the jelly matrix called cytoplasm, there only other organelles are embedded. Okay, cytoplasm. There, glucose in presence of oxygen broken down into what? 2,3-carbon molecule pyruvate plus energy. Little energy is produced. This little energy is produced. Okay, energy is produced. This is ATP. This energy is nothing but ATP. Okay, in cytoplasm it is this. And now look into that. What organelle is called the powerhouse of the cell? Mitochondria, because it produces ATP. It produces lot of ATP. It produces lot of ATP, energy currency. ATP, energy currency. Hence, mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. Where it is present? Inside the cell, in the cytoplasm. Mitochondria is present. See, there, this pyruvate, 3-carbon molecule, pyruvate is further broken down into, in the presence of oxygen. Look at that. In the presence of oxygen, pyruvate is broken down into CO2 plus water, H2O plus ATP, high energy currency, ATP. Can you understand? This is called what? Aerobic respiration. This is called what? aerobic respiration. Cytoplasm, then mitochondria. Complete breakdown of glucose. Glucose to pyruvate first, and pyruvate to carbon dioxide. What is produced? Carbon dioxide, water, and ATP. High number of ATP molecule produced. And now, see, when the people are going for a marathon, 1200-meter relay. Have you seen the students running for a 1200-meter relay? Initially, they were in medium pace. Some point of the time, they are in little faster. But finally, when you come and you see them, they can't even have the energy to take a step away. Maybe the boundary is there, but they will find out. They don't even have the energy to reach that destiny. Little destiny. They would have run for 1200 meters, but finally they can't even reach. They will fell down here itself. Why? Because all the glucose used, all the oxygen molecule used. Lot of muscle cells requires lot of energy for the locomotion. So it used all the glucose and the supplied oxygen also used. No oxygen there. Okay, so what is there? What is not there? Oxygen is not there. If oxygen is not there, pyruvate cannot be converted into carbon dioxide, water, and energy. Look at this reaction. Pyruvate cannot be converted into carbon dioxide, water, and energy. And what else is formed there? Lactic acid and very, very little energy. What is formed? In the muscle cell, in the absence of oxygen. When the person is doing a hard work, muscle contraction, it lost all its energy currency. There, what is produced? Instead of carbon dioxide and water and energy, high energy, lactic acid is formed. So this is called what? Anaerobic respiration and lactic acid fermentation. Moreover, they call it as lactic acid formation process. Where it occurs? Muscle cells. When no oxygen, pyruvate cannot be completely broken down. Incomplete breakdown process. Okay, fine. And then I told you yeast, unicellular organism. Oxygen enters into the yeast by diffusion process. Now, they do not live in oxygen-rich environment. They live in oxygen-free environment, no oxygen environment. So there, what is formed there? Ethanol. What is formed? Ethanol, carbon dioxide, and water. Means energy. Less energy, not more energy. Less energy. So ethanol and carbon dioxide. Ethanol is nothing but what? Alcohol. So this fermentation is called what? Anaerobic fermentation, and both are anaerobic. Okay, lactic acid fermentation and ethanol fermentation, both are anaerobic. Okay, so more specifically, this is ethanol fermentation, this is lactic acid fermentation. Can you understand? So glucose can be broken down completely, or it can be broken down incompletely, or it can be broken down in the absence of complete absence of oxygen. Can you understand? So respiration, aerobic respiration, anaerobic respiration means breakdown of glucose. If it occurs in the presence of oxygen, it is aerobic respiration. If it occurs in the absence of oxygen, it is anaerobic respiration. And this part also very important in the cytoplasm and then in muscle cells, in the absence of oxygen, muscle cells, and in the mitochondria, in the presence of oxygen, and in yeast cell, complete absence of oxygen. So depends upon the kind of organism, depends upon the type of cells, and depends upon the availability or unavailability of the oxygen. respiration is classified. Aerobic and anaerobic respiration process. Can you understand? Aerobic and anaerobic respiration process. So this is what is explained here. Look into that. Okay. We are diverse organisms. Living organisms are of diverse type. Okay. And they need to carry out life processes. Okay. To carry out life processes, they need energy. Energy is supplied by nutrition, but food is supplied in complex form, and that should be broken down to convert into simple form. For that, what you require? Oxygen. Different pathways organism follows. Okay. See, some organism use oxygen to break up glucose completely into carbon dioxide water, and of course, energy is produced. Okay. And then what produced? Pyruvate produced, which occurs in cytoplasm. Some organisms, in the absence of oxygen, convert pyruvate into ethanol and carbon dioxide. This is called what? Anaerobic respiration or ethanol fermentation. They actually say yeast does that fermentation, ethanol fermentation, in the absence of oxygen, which is called what? Anaerobic respiration. Can you understand? Human in animal cells, mitochondria, anaerobic respiration, and in the muscle cells, okay, and in the muscle cells, okay, in the absence of oxygen, we have what? Lactic acid produced in the muscle cells. Can you understand? So this is about different pathways of breakdown of glucose in presence and in absence of oxygen. Okay, and so know little about the ATP molecules. ATP stands for what? Adenosine triphosphate. Okay, ATP stands for what? Adenosine triphosphate. Correct? ATP stands for what? Adenosine triphosphate. See, ADP means what? Adenosine diphosphate. And then ATP forms. ADP plus another phosphate makes ATP molecule. And ATP is broken down, and again it can convert it into what? ADP plus PI. So in the triple bond is broken down, means and the third phosphate is broken down. The energy is there in that bond. Okay, ATP molecule stores its energy in the bond. That's why if it is broken, energy is released. See, you have two reactions, right? Anabolism and catabolism. What is anabolism and catabolism? Anabolism is formation process. Catabolism is degradation process. For formation, energy is required. For during the destruction process, energy is released. So ATP, when it is broken down, energy is released. For the formation of ATP, energy is required. So keep that things in mind. Okay, so all cellular process, energy currency with ATP only can occur. Okay, fine. And okay, when the phosphate, terminal phosphate linkage is broken down, how much of energy is released? 30.5 kilojoule per mole is released. Can you understand? So keep that in mind. Very powerful thing. Okay, fine. There are different type of energy also. Light energy, sunlight for photosynthesis. Okay, chemical energy, other forms. Okay, phosphorylation, photophosphorylation. ATP are formed with the help of light also. Photophosphorylation occurs in plants in photosynthesis. chemosynthesis. ATP can be produced by chemical method also. If H plus ion concentration more, H plus pumps are involved, their concentration gradient comes and then ATP is formed. Chemosynthesis. That is called what? Chemosynthesis. Okay? Maybe in your higher classes you'll be studying that. Okay, fine. Where photosynthesis occurs? In the leaf. Leaflet, what else is there? Okay, mesophyll cells. Okay, all are there. We discussed much about human respiration. So as of now, we discussed about how animals give their gases, respiratory gases, oxygen, how they use the gas, oxygen, to carry out their processes. And finally, CO2 is produced and released. What about plants? Respiration in plants. What plants will do? Common man sense. We take oxygen, break down glucose, gives out carbon dioxide. What about plants? They take oxygen. Okay, they take oxygen or carbon dioxide. Plants take carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and fixes the carbon dioxide inside maybe the leaves, thylakoid membrane, chloroplast, carbon dioxide fixation. And what is released? Oxygen is released. Respiration in plant is different than respiration in animals. Okay, so we take in oxygen, give out carbon dioxide in common man sense. Plants take in carbon dioxide and gives out oxygen. Okay, but always the plant does the same thing? No, right? But when there is no, for something called cellular respiration. What is called cellular respiration? What is called cellular respiration? Every cell, even plant cell also, takes oxygen, gives out carbon dioxide, even plant cell. Can you understand? In plant cellular respiration, again to break down glucose, the plant uses oxygen. Okay, gives out carbon dioxide. That's why in night time we study photosynthesis, dark reaction, light reaction. In plant also respiration is there. In respiration, oxygen is utilized, carbon dioxide is utilized. Okay, even this factor, respiration by cell, it may be a plant cell or an animal cell. Oxygen is taken and carbon dioxide is released. Is it clear? So plant also generally takes carbon dioxide and gives out oxygen in photosynthesis process. But in respiration, cellular respiration of plants, it takes in oxygen and gives out carbon dioxide only. Is it clear? So keep that in mind. And now, organisms, where and all the organisms live? In water. Okay, organisms in water, organism in land, organisms in both. Amphibian. How they, of course, all of the organism needs oxygen. Okay, but how the oxygen is present in all of this area? In water, oxygen is present in dissolved form. Oxygen is not as a gas, it is present. Oxygen is dissolved in water. In land, gas. Oxygen as gas. Okay, so organisms live in water, aquatic environment. They should get only dissolved oxygen. So they have a organs called what? Gills. And body diffusion also. Oxygen diffuses in water means easily it can enter into the cell by diffusion. It enter into the cell. So they meet their water demand. or through water oxygen requirement they will meet. What about us? You swim. Oxygen is there in the water in dissolved form. Can you take it? No. Our respiratory system is designed to get gas form of oxygen, not the dissolved form of oxygen. In gas form only you can take. That's how we evolved. What is the percentage of oxygen in air? 21, 20.5, 21. Which is the most abundant gas in the air? Air nitrogen, 78% of nitrogen, 21% of oxygen. Then carbon dioxide? No. Then other gases are also there. No. I think 0.03%. 0.3 or 0.03%. Very, very less amount of carbon dioxide in the air. Okay. Is it clear? Anything else you want to ask? Fine. So, organisms depends upon the environment they live, get oxygen in different form. Okay, liquid form, dissolved aquatic animal, in gas dissolved form they take. Terrestrial animal like us, we do gas form. But amphibians, what is the special of amphibians? They do two type of respiration. Amphibians does two type of respiration. What are they? Pulmonary respiration and cutaneous respiration. What is pulmonary respiration? Lungs. Cutaneous respiration through skin. Can you understand? Amphibians, if they live both environment, inside the water they use cutaneous. Through the skin itself they do gas exchange. If they come to the land, they do pulmonary respiration through lungs they breathe. Can you understand? So in different way organisms are evolved to get their oxygen. It may be in liquid form or solid form, or it means gas form. Both of the two important forms. Okay. So fishes, as you know, gills, dissolved oxygen. But terrestrial animal means we live in land. So oxygen in the atmosphere by respiration, but it should be in gas forms, oxygen rich atmosphere. Is it clear? Now, more about the human respiration in human beings. Okay, generally tell me how we get our air, the components of the respiratory system. You know the components of the respiratory system? Yeah, we have nasal passage. Here, what is supplied in the nasal passage? What do we have? Fine hairs, nostril and fine hairs. What is the function of the fine hair present in it? Filtration. Yes. Purification. Very good. Filtration. It purifies the air. Okay. And then where it enters? Pharynx and then larynx. Okay, pharynx and larynx, and then trachea. Trachea is supplied with rings of cartilages. Okay, which prevents what? Collapsing of air. Trachea with rings of cartilages prevents air not to collapse. Okay, and then we have two branches from okay, we have two branches. Can you see? These two branches are called what? Branchus. You can see left side one, right side one. They're called what? Branchus. Branchi is plural, branchus is singular. Okay, branchi is plural. So this big sized branches. And then branchus narrowed to form what? Branchioles. Okay, branchus narrowed to form branchioles. Branchioles forms alveoli. Alveoli possess alveolus. Can you understand? So, to draw a chart, okay, first in the nasal passage, and then pharynx, and then larynx, and then trachea, and then branchus is plural. That's right. Singular. Branchus. Of course, trachea supplied with rings of cartilage. Branchus, and then alveoli. Branchusல இருந்து we have branchioles. From branchioles we have alveoli. From alveoli, alveolus. Can you understand? So this is the nasal passage. Air travels. This is the passage of air. This is how air is passed. Can you see? Can you understand the diagram? Now, coming to the important aspect of human thing, just to connect through text. Okay. Look at the passage. Air is taken into the body through nostrils and filters by fine air. And then also we have mucus, which helps in the protection. And then passes through the throat and to the lungs through trachea, rings of cartilage. Trachea helps in what? Ensure the air passage does not collapse. Okay. And then, so within the lungs, smaller tubules called what? Finally, alveoli, singularly alveolus. There, see, if this is the structure of alveolus, which is surrounded by what? Alveolus is surrounded by what? Alveolus is surrounded by what? Single layer of. Okay, see, if this is the alveolus, black color sac, air sac, which is surrounded by what? A single layer of epithelial tissues, means which makes the blood capillaries. Blood capillaries. Okay. Now, here we saw air comes through alveolus finally. And then what occurs? Here what are carried? You have what you have? RBCs. What you have? Red blood cells. Who is the carrier of in the gaseous substances? RBC. RBC carries oxygen or carbon dioxide? Both oxygen and CO2. But RBC is more having RBC ல என்ன இருக்கும்? Hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is more attracted to oxygen, less attracted to carbon dioxide. Okay, so one hemoglobin can carry 4 oxygen molecule. Okay, one hemoglobin, how many oxygen it can carry? 4 oxygen molecule. So it carries. Okay, where it goes? To the blood. Through the blood capillary, it reaches the blood. And then heart pumps the blood, oxygenated blood, to cells or tissues. Okay, listen. Alveolus, from alveolus, blood. Blood la yaru? Through RBC. And then through heart. Heart pumps to all organs and tissues. Can you understand? And organs to cells, tissues to cells. Cells take in oxygen, gives out carbon dioxide. Cellular respiration. Okay, fine. Now, again, red blood cell carries carbon dioxide to heart and then lungs, and then we exhale out. Okay, so that is the cycle of breathing. Is it clear? Now, some simple question. All the carbon dioxide molecules are transported as it means carbon dioxide. So in what form? Only, you know one thing, 20 to 25% of CO2 alone carried by the hemoglobin. Then what happens to the remaining 70%? There is an enzyme called what? Carbonic anhydrase. What is the name of the enzyme? Carbonic anhydrase. In the blood, we have a bicarbonate buffering system. In a blood, we have a bicarbonate buffering system. The carbon dioxide which is produced in the cell, 70% should be converted into maybe H2CO3. Okay, and then a reversible reaction. See how it forms H2CO3, H plus plus HCO3 minus. Can you understand? This conversion is done by what? Carbonic anhydrase. See, cell releases CO2, correct? CO2 is having more affinity with what? More than the hemoglobin. CO2 is having more affinity with what? Water. Carbon dioxide. See, oxygen is there. Yaar nalla water le dissolve aagum. Carbon dioxide. Oxygen is having more affinity to hemoglobin. CO2 is having more affinity to water. So CO2 dissolves in water, and this is converted into HCCO3 by this enzyme, carbonic anhydrase. And again, this carbonic anhydrase breaks down this H2CO3 to H plus H3O3 minus. Can you understand? So this system is called what? Bicarbonate buffering system in the body. Okay, this system is called what? Bicarbonate buffering system in the body. Okay. So, what is the respiratory pigment in humans? Hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is having more affinity towards oxygen. Carbon dioxide is having more affinity towards water. Okay. So, what is the name you can give if carbon dioxide connected to linked to hemoglobin? What is it? It is called oxyhydrous. hemoglobin. Oxyhemoglobin. Okay. Oxyhemoglobin is what? O2 plus hemoglobin. Chuma. Carbon dioxide plus hemoglobin equals what? It is called, keep in mind, carbaminohemoglobin. Okay, what it is called? Carbaminohemoglobin. What is carbaminohemoglobin? Carbon dioxide plus hemoglobin. Okay. Now, mechanism of how it enters and exits. Mechanism of respiration. Okay, let us little discuss about the mechanism of respiration. Okay. How the mechanism of respiration is divided. Inspiration. What is inspiration? How air enters. Okay. What occurs? Keep these simple steps in mind. Look at that. So this brown colored structure, can you see? C-shaped, dome-shaped brown color structure is called what? Diaphragm. See the contraction. The muscles are there. The rib is there. Ribs are there. And then the muscles are there. What is the name of the muscles? Intercostal muscle. Internal intercostal muscle, external intercostal muscle. We have a pneumocenter. Okay. And chemocenter in our body, brain. Because of that, the rib cavity, thoracic cavity, the intercostal muscle contracts. That makes the diaphragm to contract. So coming to the lungs, simple step. You can say in inspiration, diaphragm contracts, or you can see lowest. What is the first step? Diaphragm lowest. Okay. So it results in what? Diaphragm lowest, it results in what? Increase in lung volume. See, when diaphragm lowest, it results in what? Increase in lung volume. Upon lung volume increase of what decreases? Decrease in, it results in decrease in lung pressure. Okay, if lung water pressure is decreased, air enters. Simple steps in inhalation or inspiration. Diaphragm lowest, diaphragm lowest. Lung water volume increases, pressure decreases. So air enters. This is inspiration. Can someone tell me how air exits in expiration? Carbon dioxide should go out. So just opposite to that, diaphragm returns. Lung water volume decreases. Pressure increases. Air exits. Can you understand? So this is the simple mechanism of breathing, inspiration and expiration. Okay, how many times our heart beats in 1 minute? How many times our heart beats in 1 minute? 72 times. 72 beats per minute. Okay, like that. How many times we breathe at resting state? How many times we breathe? See, 12 to 16 times. Average resting breathing cycle in 1 minute is what? How many times we breathe in 1 minute? In 60 seconds? 12 to 16 times in resting state. When you are in resting state, how many times? 12 to 16 cycle, breathing cycle. Breathing cycle includes inspiration and expiration. How many times? 12 to 16 times. Is it clear? Fine. So what else? You want to ask anything? To sum up, today we discussed about what is respiration, exchange of gases, aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. In animals, glucose is converted into pyruvate in cytoplasm, 3-carbon molecule pyruvate, and then in the mitochondria, pyruvate is converted into carbon dioxide, water. In that process, more amount of energy is produced. Energy is produced. In muscle cell, lack of oxygen, lactic acid is produced and little energy. And then in yeast, in the absence of oxygen, anaerobic respiration, what is produced? Ethanol, carbon dioxide, little energy is produced. Okay, but lactic acid and ethanol are because of incomplete breakdown of glucose. Means pyruvate is incompletely broken down, but here completely broken down in aerobic respiration. So that we discussed. And then the gases in plants. Plants in photosynthesis, they take in oxygen, means they take in carbon dioxide, gives out oxygen. But in cellular respiration of the plant, in photosynthesis only oxygen is taken. But in plant respiration also, plant metabolic substances, the plant cells will take in oxygen and gives out carbon dioxide again. Is it clear? Cellular respiration. And how about unicellular organisms in aquatic environment? Diffusion, dissolved oxygen. Yeah, through the body surface, lipid bilayer, simple diffusion. And multicellular aquatic organisms, they develop gills, fishes. Dissolved oxygen, they can filter and take. Again, diffusion. Terrestrial organisms, gas form. We have a separate respiratory system. Different components, different organs forms the component of the respiratory system. And then they help in exchange of gases. Okay? And the passage we discussed. Nasal passage, pharynx, larynx, trachea, supplied with rings of cartilage, bronchus, bronchioles, alveoli, alveolus. And then blood capillaries, then blood, heart, rest of the body, cells. And then cells, tissues in the carbon dioxide to the blood, their conversion occurs. What enzyme? Carbonic anhydrase. What buffering system we have? Bicarbonate buffering system. Okay, CO2 released, 70% is converted into H2CO3 by carbonic anhydrase. And then pH change means H plus CO2 conversion. And then only 20 to 25% through red blood cell, hemoglobin, and lungs. What occurs to the other 7%? 5 to 7%. See, 70% by bicarbonate buffering system, 25% by red blood cell. What happened to that 5%? They are dissolved in plasma. Plasma, they are present as it. Because of the 5% CO2 only in plasma, what occurs? When sweat comes, Sweat comes, bad odor comes. Why? Carbon dioxide is released. That's why mosquitoes are attracted to us. Why? Mosquito. You are here, it will come and find you. They smell carbon dioxide. They are attracted more to the carbon dioxide. So 5% carbon dioxide in plasma, through sweat, it diffuses out. Carbon dioxide diffuses out because carbon dioxide is having more affinity towards water, right? So water is coming out, carbon dioxide also coming out. Is it clear? So that's about the respiratory system. Okay. So anything you want to ask? Anything else? May I know your name, ma'am? Vijaya Lakshmi. In which school? AVM Global. DAD. Okay, fine. So any doubt? Can you ask you some simple questions? Anybody is there in online? No. Some simple questions. What is oxyhemoglobin? Hemoglobin. One hemoglobin binds to how many oxygen molecules? 4 oxygen molecules. Carbon dioxide is having more affinity with water or hemoglobin? Water. Okay. And then where lactic acid is formed? Muscle cells. In the absence of lack of oxygen. What is called anaerobic fermentation? Where it occurs? By? Done by? Which cell? Anaerobic respiration. Ethanol formation by yeast cell. Yeast. Unicellular fungi. Yeast. Okay. Glucose is converted into 1,6 carbon molecule. Glucose is converted into 2,3 carbon molecule pyruvate. Plus little energy is released. Where it occurs? Where it occurs? First level, glycolysis, breakdown of glucose into pyruvate. Where it occurs? It may be aerobic or anaerobic organism. Where it occurs? Cytoplasm. Very good. In the cytoplasm, glucose is converted into pyruvate. Okay. What are the respiratory gases? What are the respiratory gases? Oxygen and carbon dioxide. Oxygen and carbon dioxide are the respiratory gases. In plant cellular respiration, oxygen is taken and carbon dioxide is used. Okay, in plant photosynthesis, carbon dioxide is taken, oxygen is released. Okay, ATP stands for how many phosphate group in ATP? How many phosphate molecules are there in ATP? Huh? Now, how many phosphate molecules? It is ATP. How many phosphate molecules? 3 phosphate molecules. Adenosine monophosphate means what? 1 phosphate. Adenosine diphosphate means what? 2 phosphate. Adenosine triphosphate means 3. Very simple. Okay. When ATP is broken down, what forms? Their energy is used. Okay, energy is used. That energy is expressed in what? As what? Kilocalorie or joules. Kilocalorie or joules. That's the unit of expression, right? Is it clear? So this is about the respiration in plants and especially we focus on human beings. Okay. So thank you. Maybe about the transportation we will continue in the next class. Okay. Thank you so much.